Stream is in session. Sorry, Court. Ate my granola bar too fast and all that. Just literally shoving it down my mouth. So peanut buttery and so dry. Not the greatest of combinations for your mouth. I don't know how to describe granola without calling it granola. It's like, granola's like a cluster of, like, nut-like material? There you go, Devin's got it for me. Yeah, that's why my mods are my mods. Normally for us, granola, like pure granola, is in produce, but granola bars are in boxes, and they're usually with breakfast cereals, which you're international, so I'm pretty sure you don't have all the shit breakfast cereal that we have. And like Pop-Tarts and stuff. I'm almost convinced that aisle just does not exist where you live. Oatmeal. It's my oatmeal. You guys have oatmeal, right? That's one thing that I think we can all agree on is all right. Oh, that does sound good. So yeah, they're really good, like I I tend to get them, the ones that have a lot of protein in it.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital. You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court. Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
What?
So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Oh, she's dead.
So please.
I thought she killed somebody
I
again.
ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
Really? I mean, I get it, but come on, man. Also, for a brief moment, I thought she was on like a deserted island. Like a little deserted island. Like she was coming home and the boat crashed. And she was stuck on this little bitty island. It's like, wait, that's fucking stupid. There's no way the game's that, like, loony, right? And I saw the grave and I'm like, oh, okay, she's just on, like, a hill. But I was fooled. Hey, Bo, but yeah, the entire first game in voice acting. Yep, with a single palm tree. Could it get any more, like, stereotypical, like, this is where I just happen to get washed up on shore. Here I am again after 9 months, the Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous. I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Oh, I thought your dad died, but you just went to Kazuma's grave. Okay. I was so convinced that her dad died, like, right when she got back. Okay. I guess that's less sad, because nobody actually died. Oh, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, good morning, sir. I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, counsel. But you look as white as a sheet. And those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors, either. Oh, dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous, I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Eugene Mikotoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. A man who, earlier in his life, traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science.
And of course, my brilliant father. Excuse me. Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Oh, yes, that's right. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, this whole thing! Ray Membani, that's an interesting name. Ray Membani, born the same year as I, my greatest friend. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder. Awful. Truly awful. Are you feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, it's just that you look so gallant and dashing! Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She doesn't realize who I am. Ha ha ha! It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh, what do you mean, Professor Mikotoba? If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. This does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? What? Is that you, Susato? I'm so sorry I didn't say something sooner, Ray. It's just that— No! What are you doing? What's going on, Wood? The varsity uniform, the varsity camp, the varsity. Look at you! Look for all the world just like a student of the Imperial Yume University, a male student! I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke up at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see, it was the only way. The only way she'd be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial. You know, whamming and all that. I have been watching Ted Lasso very intently. So I hope I've picked up a few slight variants at least that I'll be able to use. My defense? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom, except that one time when I did. Despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. Oh wait, did she give us that stuff in the courtroom, or was that outside the courtroom? Maybe I'm not remembering that correctly. I can't remember when she gave that to us. Briefly, okay. Ramen for ramen. I see. So she, okay. Okay, I thought it was in the courtroom. I thought I remembered that correctly. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you go to such lengths for me. Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no! I have complete faith in you. Ray. It's so strange, though. Why, as soon as I start streaming, do I get 50 billion text messages? That's just how it works, isn't it? I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman, what a wretched reason! I mean, why should you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Ray? Please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just, you really do look so dashing. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man. I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. When you realize you might be attracted to your best friend. Ray, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly.
Kinsley scale, something, something. Oh yeah. It's always there. You just don't know when it's gonna come and grab you. And say, yep, here we go. This is where you fall. On the scale.
Susato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder? Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clear. Your conscience is also clear, it seems. Isn't that right? Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. That means so much to me, Susato.
Defendant counsel. Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go on at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty.
Oh. Stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast.
Well, Susato, you certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom and with no prior experience in being a lawyer. Not to mention we had to fake all your identification, which wasn't super easy, let me tell you that. But still probably easier than if we were in the year 2022. Oh god, that would be impossible. Or even 2006? When did Trials and Tribulations take place? You know, where you could just dress up like someone else and kind of vaguely look like them and go to court with a paper badge and go represent somebody as that person. Oh, God, I think that would ever happen. Oh, good luck at your orientation. 2018. Yeah, 2018. No way that would happen. It is not a working strategy. I can assure you. I can assure you.
There's simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this. That's quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. I didn't want to burden her with that. But is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was? We should make a move now, too. Oh, God, I don't know what voice that was. We should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my students. Thank you, Father. I'm Susato Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan.
We know this is the correct way to wear goggles, right? Very, very well done, Ryunosuke. That is exactly how you wear goggles correctly.
How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder? Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Hold on. Well, why would she know that he switched his outfit? Unless she got a picture of him. 1 second.
I think the fact that most mattresses are built
I
to
was
sustain
getting
a
my
weight of 250
Great
pounds
Britain
is-
judge voice ready, and that is obviously not who we're going to be in front of. That's a lot of ouchie. There we go.
Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was?
Copyright
This was found in
infringement
the
upon
victim's
my own
jacket
video.
pocket. What is that, Counsel? It's a medical report card.
Oh, that's right. He was like kind of gruff Southern. I would not have guessed that. Oh my. These witnesses gave fake statements?
What does the defense have to say about all this?
Yeah, okay. That's about what I thought. Well, if Sholmes isn't an immortal god, I will be disappointed.
This court is now in session to hear the trial of Ray Membami.
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency.
Did he just say fuck it with the top knot? But what the hell is that on his forehead?
Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready.
Ready. Ready. Ah! I was wondering if they were going to have her do the eye thing. That's cute.
Ah, yes, Counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryutaro Naruhodo. That seems awfully close to another Naruhodo that I once saw in court. Like, really close.
Wait, what do you mean, Maxim?
Is that correct?
Yo, what's up, Amir?
Sorry? Oh, yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture. So I'm afraid I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, Counsel, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't just hear that, but was spoken out loud for everyone to hear.
Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I'm Ryutaro. He who has vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan.
Ah. It seems Ryutaro may need to consider how to better uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. Those wild wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot we could switch costumes in this game, which is cool. But yeah, that would have been very unfortunate, given that it's literally integral to the plot here. Naruhodo?
A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. With the name Naruhodo, will that perchance be... You made me think of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as a part of a study program. This is,
His cousin.
That's right. Ryutaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any Tokyo's preeminent lawyers.
Any of them.
What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused has had to call in a country boy.
How dare you! Sasato's ever been as gallant-dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys! I won't have you making fun of her! Shut it! Huh? Oh, please be careful, Ray. No. I know this voice acting is going to get you all wild because you're worried that I'm like dying or something, but I assure you. Yeah, am I gonna have to ban you from this room?
What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not.
I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flip. I don't know what that means. Ban. Reason. Loving too much.
Oh, really? You know, I actually say that a lot, but I don't think I've ever spelled it out. I've never, like, spelled it before, because I've never, like, typed it as dialogue. Flit is just like flits about. Yeah, that doesn't... This is the problem with using the word within the definition, is I don't know what that is. I can tell based off of context. Kind of. It's some sort of movement. But, yeah, I don't... It's because it's moving, like, horizontally, vertically, around and round and round, just a lot, skittishly. Quick, sporadic movement. Okay. That makes more sense. Want to flit. There we go.
The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire. Just like that trial 9 months ago, which apparently had no effect on our empire. And yet for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the docks? Dear me. Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense. To determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruto stood where you're standing now. This same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors.
Yeah, because it's not even shit that, like, a lawyer needs to know.
For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this'll be easy.
Yes, but not in this way. Like, where I've practiced, you have to have a certain amount of experience in order to defend felony murders. Or at least to be appointed to defend felony murders. So, like, they will assess your confidence based on your experience. And I don't mean like, well, you had to have defended felony murders in order to take on a felony murder case, because that would obviously be fucked up. But more like, how long have you practiced? Has it been on all like mostly criminal, a lot of criminal court, you know, stuff like that, related to the experience.
So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions?
But no, they don't ask you, what's the name of your client? What's the name of the victim? When did the crime happen? Yeah, how can you get this entry-level position if you have no experience in this position? Motherfucker.
So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions?
She is so cute. I like the hat. I think the hat fits her well. All right, it's time to prove myself. Of course. Yes, Your Excellency. But please do make them simple.
Very well. To start with, you will state the name of the victim.
Dude, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried. Ah.
What's the matter?
Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruto-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are want to blank.
It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under those circumstances.
Oh dear, this is a dismal failure.
Don't fret. You need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem.
Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record.
That's right. Just use R to open the court record. Right now. Wait until I finish my sentence first.
He's not supposed to have a British accent.
Then you need to flip to the people section with R again. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely.
I still keep giving it to him. Alright, check the court record with R. That's where the information I need will be. Giselle Brett. 11th August at around 2 p.m. Constriction.
She looks really familiar. I know this isn't like a super unique anime style look for a girl, but I'm trying to pinpoint exactly which character I think she resembles most closely.
I'm waiting, counsel. What is the name of the victim in this case?
Eugene Mikotoba. That's man over there!
Yes!
The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett.
A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure.
No, I mean, yes, they do look similar, but that's not who I'm thinking of. There's someone that I'm thinking of that's almost a dead ringer for her. And Hinata's eyes kind of make her look a little more unique.
Correct. And being a member of our empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name.
No, because Maya has she has like well, maybe it is Maya. Maybe Maya's who I'm thinking of. She's exactly Maya, except for she doesn't have the thing. That's actually a little disappointing if that's the case. If that's what I'm thinking of. Like, oh yeah, from the other game, moron. Stop trying to think of a bunch of fucking other anime where it's right there, and I'm just like, oh, well, that's embarrassing for me. Yeah, her face is a little different. Her hair is very similar, though. Although it's also more, like, it's also more defined. I feel like Maya's kind of just looks like a big old block sometimes. It's also a different color. The anime about making an anime? I don't know what that is.
As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why, then, is her name indelibly associated with our own empire's judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. What if it's proving hard to recall the finer points? Everything you need is included in the court record.
Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett! Behind the woman student persona was the face of... Queen Victoria!
Yes!
9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University was killed. And the culprit was... Giselle Brett.
Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signaled
A new treaty!
At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain. And it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Watson,
Not Watson. Sorry. I have Watson on the brain when I think of this guy.
an Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, in fact, was shot dead. Otherwise, we might have some copyright issues on our hands. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba.
Wait. Is this... Who's... Oh, this is the judge, right?
I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court.
Copyright! We signal diplomacy by emitting pheromones from their capital glands. Yeah, this is all the like treaty negotiations are just them sitting like this. It cuts the other person. They're like, Cuts back to the other person. Cuts back to the other person. No words are needed. The pheromones are all that anyone would ever need to create a treaty.
Oh, I understand everything. A student of the Imperial Yume University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Wait, he was an English... I didn't remember him being an English major, because wasn't he, like, bad at it? He couldn't have been bad at it, though. He's fucking living in London. But I remember Kazuma, like, making fun of him a few times. Maybe just, like, relative to Kazuma, he was bad. That's his called.
Giga Chad. To help his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense. Exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett.
He was bad and became good. That's fair, too. No. See, no, she didn't nuke the country of Turkey. They may nuke it like putting a sandwich in a microwave. That's what they meant.
Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. No, people are dead. The whole country.
Oh fuck, I might be a war criminal. What a great video.
However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China, instead.
Why Shanghai?
There's the British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of a transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship. Couldn't even get that shit done right. God damn it.
Yeah, Amir died and can testify to this.
Yet, the very day before her departure, the English woman was killed.
Only the day before? Oh, man. Being a man trying to sound like a woman trying to sound like a man is not super easy.
That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant by restating simple facts.
Oh! Huh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle?
Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Ouchie?
Y'all just want me to ruin my playthroughs, don't you? Give her the Arnold voice. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Burn.
As you wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th August in broad daylight.
I said that. Repugnant. Repugnant. That word always sounds weird to me. Like when I say it. It seems correct, but...
On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky and a scheduled bathing spot by the sea.
Scheduled. Secluded. God fucking... Hold on, I'll be right back. God damn it! I need something carbonated to pop and focus my mind.
Congratulations!
Woo! There we go. Boy, do I enjoy carbonation. Repugnance. There you go.
The incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erected for bathers to rest or change.
Oh, wait, no, this is Ouchie, right?
The incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung, an injury which proved fatal. Get wrecked. There were two persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett, in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray and Bobby. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady.
How did the police know to arrive so quickly if it was just the two of them? In a remote beach hut. I gotta hand it to these officers of Japan. Their ESP abilities are top fucking notch. They were swimming too.
Well, an extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say.
That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about. He said there's a powerful motive, but he didn't say what the motive was. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement.
Is this yokel something? Is he talking to me, God?
I beg your pardon.
No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? But Bobby-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe?
Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in his laboratory at the moment.
I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then?
Oh, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson.
Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago?
No, a different Wilson.
The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true?
Objection, leading question. I know we're not in formal testimony yet. But that's exactly the type of like... Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman who killed him.
Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no, Ray!
Be careful of what you're saying! Ah!
The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency.
I too remember that every person I've ever hated in my life I've actually gone out and killed.
Oh, it's clearly a trap all along.
How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details, and something we can use to boast our defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about. Mbami-san? Yes, what is it? Naruhodo-san! I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias Ryutaro Susato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place, and why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. What? Why?
They must have not have cared about the proposed motive if they're like, hey, come be your companion. I know you hate her. This is really stupid. Of course, what would make it less stupid is if the person who wanted to get her murdered chose her specifically so that she'd be set up to look like she had murdered Brett. But then if I'm Ray, I tell whoever that is to go fuck themselves. But perhaps being a whammon in Japan at that time, you didn't have such liberty. They could just pick you off the street and say, I want you to do this. And you have to say yes.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there is only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
No!
Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again.
Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel.
Make me.
The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you.
Oh dear, this is really terrifying, but Father's right. We need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about. If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie.
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot.
Ah, my apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins.
No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea?
For old time's sake, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day on our country's wonderful coast. The British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request?
Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. The fucking pussies. In matters of diplomacy, it seems that we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal.
Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong.
But in fact, a murder took place.
I said don't look at me. It was that young student girl who did it, not I.
No one has proved that yet.
I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to.
I mean, that fan's got to be like a whole half-inch shorter by the end of his trials, right?
I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university.
Are you motherfucking kidding me?
Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions.
Seeing the murder of the mentor for whom she had such great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty.
Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment.
Poor Ray.
So, Your Excellency, if you would be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident.
Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image.
And you can clearly see there is nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden.
The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. As I understand it, then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accuser's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence,
And I absolutely assure you that none of these witnesses could possibly have committed the crime themselves. 100%.
Witnesses? But who?
one of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective who apparently sucks ass at his job. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Who's ready for some brosanagi? Because there's only one very highly respected detective that sucks ass at not getting people killed, and that's Brosanagi.
Very well then, Counsel, bring forth your witnesses.
I, Taketsushi Ouchi, have been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Oh yes, I haven't forgotten the trial 9 months ago here in this very courthouse, where that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me.
I mean, your hair does that on its own, bruh. Oh! Okay, so I made that costume change because he is not supposed to have that on right now. Oh, whoops. Yes, in this past, Rinosuke had a quite the fashion sense even before he went to England. Oh, I forgot that's what happened. That's assault, isn't it?
Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day my former self died.
The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, Council?
Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchy growth!
This is the most absurd description I've seen of whatever the fuck this is supposed to be ever.
You see? You see this seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown?
I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where's the hope exactly?
I said silence! Today, I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you! And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. Everything about that was disgusting. With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand.
Looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose.
A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life. Comparable.
Bro Sanaga, why have you not? Oh, God. Why?
Witnesses, please state your names and occupation for the court.
Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. Except for I just told you all my name.
Now I am, well, the next big thing in books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact, yes. Soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success by Soseki Natsume.
Oh my goodness!
Struggling student from the provinces, please. You needn't be in awe of me.
I need it?
So, her simply putting her hair up into the hat is too powerful of a disguise for the chief of police and someone who she literally helped defend from death row. Oh, chief inspector, not chief of police. So he's not as good. Sorry. Because of that minute difference, the stat difference is about, 30. Her best friend could have just been an idiot, though. That's not the greatest laying a foundation I've ever seen. Oh, I see. You're under the mistaken impression that if you're at university, you're not an idiot. I see where that can be confusing. I can assure you that is not true. That's true. I think I can buy that Hosonaga is very willing to see to see through another's disguise, so that he's like, no, disguises work. Let me show you. There. Now you don't know who I am. I'm somebody completely different. And so I also buy your disguise, person with a hat on all of a sudden. Ah. See, I'll go with that. I'll run with that. That his fame has gotten to his head, and so has his social awareness lessened. What the fuck is Volpe talking about that he keeps getting deleted? He doesn't know the game. Is that something to do with one of the Holmes stories? But yeah, I can see like, oh, I don't. He could see Naruhodo, and I would buy that. He'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, who are you again? And you'd be like, oh, oh. God, Volpe, why you have to go and make things so complicated? Dude, he just has, what was it called? My 999 fans? What's the disease? Or affliction? Prosopagnosia. That's what he has. He's in the morphogenic field, so he knew because of vaguely outlined psychic powers. It's only natural that you'd feel nervous in my presence, but all of you please relax. Call me Soseki even. Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here? That's true! But it was more to Hobo Phoenix than just his hobo outfit. It was his whole demeanor. The way he talked. The competence he exuded. I'm just like, who the fuck is this person?
Tread carefully, Susato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? He exposes you.
Yeah, the inspector does too! Oh my god. Not from London, but from the boat trip.
He exposes you for who you really are. This will be over before it's begun.
Yes, of course, I know.
presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. We'll just roll with that. I suppose it's this disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly.
Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business did a rider such as yourself have being at the scene, Soseki-san?
Ah, well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with the researcher from the medical science department. Professor over there, in fact. With with Professor Mikotoba?
Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who'd study in Great Britain.
Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. Which is part of the issue, right? He's just kind of bad at his job. I mean, he's lovable for sure, but he's just kind of bad at his job. They really made a more refined Gumshoe. Except Gumshoe's probably better at his job. Yeah, and that her demeanor and confidence is less than it was before. I guess it could work the opposite way. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see her country's coast. Those were her words.
As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory, under strict surveillance, of course.
At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her.
That detective I'm at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. I don't know. I'd tell her to fuck off. Yeah, Miro suddenly grew like 5 chins. He puffed to such a great mass because of his anger. Oh, Gregson's not particularly good at his job either. He seems a little better than Hosonaga, or at least more cynical. He's more... He's more so the Reaper? Yeah, that sounds about right. Unstoppable chin. Anger begets chins, just...
Thereby the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems.
It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. Oh, that's right. My terribly terminal disease. Just reared its ugly head again. But fortunately, I'm at peak physical fitness at the moment, so...
I'm at peak physical condition.
Blood running down my mouth.
I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. Oh my, Inspector, you... Well, you do have something on your face now. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean you went to the beach too, Father?
No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off, because fuck that place. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that, as my assistant Ray was invited to take my place.
Invited. If she was invited, I would have invited them to lick my fucking nuts. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. But only if I had, I'd never have seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret.
Very well, I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed in your impromptu excursion to the coast.
Of course, Your Excellency.
Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am.
On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise.
I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from the... Caterwaul? What is that? I honestly don't know what that is. I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me.
I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question.
Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly.
I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times.
Caterwaul, loud wailing, screaming. Is that the inspiration of the name Cat R. Wall? From the cinematic masterpiece known as Fievel Goes West? You want to talk about a fucking refined gentleman? Oh, that guy. That guy was a refined gentleman. Who the fuck, what's his name, Cleese? I think it was Cleese. You should watch more masterpieces. There are a lot of masterpieces out there. Twilight, New Moon, I would suggest. The Stupids. Morbius. That's a new masterpiece. All right, later, Amir.
Indeed, it does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime.
What?
Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, that was it. Damning evidence.
What have you there, counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it?
Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What?
Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic prints of the crime scene once more.
Ah, goodness me! Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Ah! The owner's initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. R.M. Raymambami. The initials of the defendants. Oh no! Ow! This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence. That doesn't actually seem like particularly strong evidence, if I'm being honest here. She has the pen, so what do we glean from that? That Ray was there, we know that, like, present in the area. We don't really know when she could have borrowed that from her. And what was the plan to then borrow her a pen and then while she was turned around writing to stab her? And then to leave the pen in her hand? I don't think this is strong at all. It's very circumstantial. You have to speculate in order to connect it to anything, which is not good evidence.
So have I admitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence.
That is not damning evidence.
There's a bright blue sky outside the courtroom today, perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel.
A scribe. I don't understand. The prosecutor Ouchie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise.
Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now.
Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me!
Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. There isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom.
Cousin Rutaro, pull yourself together, please.
All right, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Actually, I've seen it a very counted amount of times, on one hand, actually. Find inconsistencies in the witness's testimony to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. So let's see what I can do. I guess there's been more than that many cross-examinations. Hey, easy. Fine. This has been fine. Alright, let's take a look at this, first of all, this damning evidence. Oh, we can't look at it. Okay. Fair enough.
Does it not have the knife?
Hold it!
In that jaunty disguise? Correct. Wait, no! I mean, it wasn't the first time I've worn this swimsuit for a dip in the ocean. It's tried and tested. Do what must be done to keep the English woman under surveillance. Those were my orders that day. And this tried and tested outfit was the answer? Being able to blend flawlessly into a crowd is an important part of a detective's job. I submerged myself in the salty water, leaving only Mr. Turtle floating inconspicuously on the surface. Mr. Turtle loves the water. Especially loves floating on top of the water as though he's walking on it. But there is no need for you to blend into the background on this assignment, really, was there?
That made you late arriving on the scene. I think perhaps you had your priorities wrong.
Perhaps I shouldn't pursue this line of questioning any further at the moment.
Hold it!
Ah, you're describing the victim's scream, presumably, Soseki-san? In more literary terms, you might say it was a scream that could have pierced the heavens. Kya! Or the like. Of course, that's just a metaphor. We renowned authors aren't wont to describing things so. Soseki-san wasn't at all like this in England. Anyway, I spun around at the noise and the beach hut immediately fell under my gaze. Yes, the beach hut. The area is popular with government ministries. Many have seaside retreats there for rest and recuperation. Locals are prohibited from entering the area, so it's always very quiet. The beach hut is a simple structure, erected as a place for people to change or take refuge from the sun. Although the Englishwoman commandeered the hut for herself, which meant that I was forced to change into my swimwear on the sand. Ah, I imagine that was rather embarrassing for you. Well, anyway, I tossed the crab aside and headed for the beach hut in a run. Or, in more literary terms, I decrabbed and beetled off hut-wise. Apparently everyone has pet turtles. We have pet turtle emojis. It is a cute emoji. I ran into the beach at hut and went blah 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 with Mr. Turtle. Wait, by pair, you don't mean to say, but how could that be? No, you misunderstand. Obviously, I meant the victim and the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Oh, it would have been helpful if you could have just... Oh, it would have been helpful if you could have just said that from the onset. If you jump to conclusions, you have to expect to fall flat on your face sometimes.
Dear me, pinning your hopes on such an outside chance. Foolish, very foolish.
It really was an outside chance. I just wish I'd realized that before I said something silly.
So, Inspector, why don't you tell the court Inspector, why don't you tell the court how exactly you found the aforementioned pair in the hut?
Well, it was a sorry sight, a really grisly scene. I parted the Noren curtain hanging in the doorway. Stepped inside, only to see the defendant leaning menacingly over the lifeless body of the victim sprawled on the sand. My glasses very nearly cracked at the ominous sight that met my eyes.
What? One of them bullied the other to death?
How thoroughly appalling.
I think that, deserves more explanation.
Doesn't appear to be lying here.
He doesn't appear to be lying here.
Well, Soseki-san, can you confirm what Inspector Hosonaga is saying, I wonder?
You're a literary... You'd like a literary man's opinion.
Hold it!
Stabbed wildly? You actually saw her do it?
Oh, indeed. The terrible specter, the terrapin inspector, the bloody torrent, the author's torment. Ah! Oh, excuse me. Every sight and every sound is still carved in my melancholy memory. That was my impression, at least. As a future literary sensation.
Counsel, what on earth was that shrill, effeminate scream?
Oh, no, no. What are you insinuating? I'm as manly a Japanese man as you.
I wonder if I might interject here, Soseki-san. Something you said is troubling me. That was my impression. Were your words just now, I believe.
Ah, so do you mean to say you're not confident that you really did see what you've described?
Who's there? Oh. No, I mean, yes. I mean, I know what I saw. My ears didn't deceive me when I heard that scream, hence my eyes didn't deceive me either. I could describe everything I saw vividly. I could publish it all in tomorrow's newspaper serial.
It sounds as though the next installment of I Am a Cat may take a macabre turn.
I think this is a fool's errand. The more we press your author friend on what he saw, the more entrenched he's going to become.
Oh dear, how awkward.
Hold it!
Jesus, Pete! That's brutal. Who knew turtles could be such dickheads? I guess any animal can be a dickhead.
She was stabbed multiple times? How can you be sure of that?
Very simply, from the blood on the blade.
The blood?
When I entered the hut, I saw the defendant holding the blade raised up in the air. Yes, that's right. I saw it too.
Oh,
And I noted that there was blood on the blade already at that point. Get it? In other words, the victim had already been stabbed at least once by the time I had arrived at the scene. Yes, that's right. I saw it too. The victim was already holding the defendant's fountain pen in her hand too. All of which means I can be sure the victim did not die instantly. Yes, right. I saw it too. Yeah.
maybe a year in London was too much for him. He sounds like he's forgotten how to speak Japanese.
Logically, your argument is sound, at least.
Well, as I said, it is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly.
Perhaps it should have been your guiding principle to protect the victim flawlessly. That's just my personal opinion, of course.
Ah!
Counsel, you will refrain from mocking the witness.
Oh no, I just have so many thoughts whirling around in my head. If all I can do is stand here, if it's all I can do to stand here wide-eyed and mute.
Goodness, my dear, you really must try to calm down.
But how am I supposed to find an inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying? I don't see why either of them would have any reason to lie.
What you must remember, I think, is that witnesses may inadvertently lie at times, for various reasons. A misunderstanding, a mistaken observation, a delusion, even.
A delusion.
What's important is that we determine the truth. And there's only one sure way to do that.
Yes, with evidence, of course.
It's looking like a true judicial assistant. During witness testimony, you can use R to pick yeah. Once you identify a witness's statement that appears to present.
I'll consider the details of all the evidence in the court record against each statement to find an inconsistency. I hope I'm up to the task.
Don't forget that you can have the witnesses repeat their statements as many times as you like. Everyone has to start at the beginning, remember? And those wide eyes are quite forgivable. And besides, there's no one else to defend the poor girl.
You're right. I need to listen to the testimony again from the start.
Hold it!
Okay, so that didn't change.
Hold it!
Okay, it doesn't seem like any of that's gonna change. Why don't they have the blade? Why is the blade not in evidence? If I'm the judge, I'd straight up ask, like, where's the murder weapon? If you have the murder weapon, why isn't it here? He says he sees her stabbing, but Hosonaga does not say he saw her stab. Like, these two are conflicting, unless Soseki got there first.
Objection!
With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench. The stakes have been very, very high indeed.
Well, what's the meaning of that menacing pose, counsel?
I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. Who, what, where, why, when, how? Not you, Soseki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga. At me? In your statement just now, you stated that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right, as I said when I entered the hut. The defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. What?
Get to the point, please, counsel.
In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only.
Ah!
In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. And Soseki-san,
Me?
you claim to have seen Membami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim.
Yes, I did. Wildly!
But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and? It's quite simple. We know that the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there is no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred.
Ah, true! And what exactly is your contention, counsel? Are you ever going to tell us?
Well, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I thought you had a brain. Sure, I'll spell it out for you, though. There's only one logical conclusion. What Soseki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body.
That can't be! Excellent work, Susanoo. You exploded at them with that objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically.
Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in that trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show.
Wait, he beat you, didn't he?
Details, madam. I mean, mister. Sir, details, sir.
You're right, there were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution. It was only half a bead of hair.
Oh my god, I can't see.
Whereas only half a head of hair.
Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed.
That's funny. He removes his sweat by changing his face.
In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing in multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference.
What? Why not?
Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. It was that moment, just as she has withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim.
Ah!
All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance.
And that the police officer isn't so expert. Claims to be. As an expert witness. I guess he's not claiming to be an expert witness, though. He's just claiming to be a witness. But he's also not a credible witness. Because he just is wrong a lot.
I'm in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, that is sufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion.
Suspicion, sure. But if she was withdrawing the blade...
Then we are back where we started.
Sorry?
Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl's innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim? And with a demon's cold-blooded composure, too. The prosecution demands an explanation. It better be good.
Why did Ray pull out the knife?
Ah yes, going for the jugular.
What does Father mean by that?
Let the court hear your answer then, counsel.
The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here. We don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could stab her again. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury.
Indeed, giving her the time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer.
The point is, being a medical research assistant, Membami-san was compelled to act when faced with a wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed.
Just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Your Excellency, if I may?
Speak, witness.
I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the Yokel Defense Counsel, I mean. Slipshod?
Oh, an excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopefully has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense.
Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion.
Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly, as I did before, obviously. Pulling a blade for a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge to any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. Oh, I'm sorry. Have we established him to be an expert witness? Because if he's not, I don't want to fucking hear this testimony from him. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily? Yes, think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. He is an expert in bleeding, but I'd like for him to testify as to why. I am still very curious. We never got an answer to that.
This is why yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it.
Wait, what? Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out? How many of you have stabbed someone before? Yeah, just a little knife poke. Did that to my sister once just to, let's see if you bleed. No! No, not with yourself. Who's ever given someone? Yep. Time for you all to confess. How many of you have stabbed someone before and gotten away with it? I want to know. No, because the problem with stabbing an orange is there's a chance that I get, like, orange juice in my eye, and then it, you know, burn. No, it was... Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone before, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Most people haven't stabbed anyone before!
Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit.
Father, is it true what they're telling me?
Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If you were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways.
But then, why would Ray have done it? Would she have pulled out that knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett?
That I don't know.
Anyone who stabs somebody knows that. And obviously, more people have stabbed someone than have not. God. Fucking yokel. Who hasn't stabbed anyone before?
Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but... my friend actually have...
Susato,
Yes?
pull yourself together. You mustn't lose sight of why we're here.
Ah!
Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination. Get her done.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving to my adjudication immediately afterwards.
I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their case until the very bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but... yes, it's hard. Do I like Hosonaga or Gregson better? That's a really interesting question. I don't know. I like Hosonaga better in that he is much more pleasant to be around. But is he a better character than Gregson? Probably not. And that probably has a little bit to do with Gregson having a bit more screen time than Hosonaga had. I don't know. That's a good question, though. I'd have to think about that more. Like, because I'm gonna have to tier them at some point, right? And that's gonna tell who I think is better, who I like more.
Hey, 1 second. I'm gonna get. Oh, God. I can't stop yawning. I'm gonna go get coffee real quick. Shouldn't take very long. Otherwise, I'm gonna fall asleep at my fucking desk.
Okay. Coffee. Little lunch. Oh. Well, I'm greeted by class rep. That's usually not a good thing. Coffee. Coffee. So, if there's any way to noticeably discern my accent, easiest way is to look and see how I pronounce my O's. Oh, was it a test to see if class rep was working? People from Wisconsin have a reputation for how we say the word Wisconsin. There's no A there. There's no A in the word at all. But the way I just said it sounds like there's an A, doesn't it? So I guess I don't know how to describe it. There are certain O sounds that will have, where it makes it sound like I'm putting an A into the word, and I'm not.
No, I'd say they sound similar. Cough, coffee. Maybe it's more of a Midwestern thing then. Apparently not. Apparently that is not how other people pronounce it. Oh God, I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Mingus. Especially since you were worried about the apprentice in the first place being competent. Yes, but how do you pronounce it? Yeah, that's how I pronounce it. Maybe not as pronounced as other people in the state, but it's noticeable. It should be more coffee. I'd like some coffee, please. Instead of coffee. I want some coffee. You see that difference there? Quoffy. Hey, it's coffee. That's coffee. Like, man, I didn't know coffee started with a Q. Which it would make sense that you, as a foreigner, would say it closer to O, or in between O and A at least, because you guys are actually generally better at English than we are. Any mispronunciations generally have to do with it just being kind of difficult to say, as opposed to, oh, we could say it the other way, we just choose not to. Real Brooklyn coffee. That's how my wife says coffee now that I think about it. But I think she says it that way because her and her friend used to have like these Brooklyn characters that they did together. And they talk, one thing they talk about often is coffee. And so they just started saying it normally, I think. Well, good thing there's no permanent damage to the eye, and it's just a surface thing. Indeed. I think your wife will love the eye patch. Okay. Got the protein in me. Got the coffee in front of me. And Hosonaga on the stand.
Hold it!
Boss. Boss. It wouldn't be, that wouldn't be a Boston accent. Boss. I think that might be, that sounds like somewhere in New York, not like Brooklyn, but maybe somewhere else in New York. Saga. That is the most interesting way to spell milk I've ever seen. Milk! Oh God, I excited my dog. Whenever she hears me, I'm just being silly. I'm okay. I appreciate it, but I'm okay. I'm not in danger. Why don't you go look for those squirrels that have been bothering you? Why don't you go look for those squirrels that have been bugging you? Challenge them to a duel. Oh, it even has a skull on it? Yeah, that's... You intimidate the apprentice. Is that how it's pronounced in Finnish too, Lynch?
Say doing it without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you use due care and attention, it would be alright? I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really, but the blade is just like a stopper in the wound. Remove it, and a serious hemorrhage will occur. In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the knife. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it.
Well, she is a medic, isn't she? Or almost a medic.
Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation.
You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath.
Back to the witness testimony, please.
Hold it!
And generally speaking, I do try to go back and read messages if there haven't been a ton of them. I didn't this time, but that's because I felt bad about the break, so I wanted to just keep going.
In that case, there's an obvious explanation here.
Like, if I would never read it, I wouldn't care. That's the Discord areas for, because I don't go in there.
Which is? Clearly, the defendant, Raymond Bami-san, does not possess an ounce of sense. What do you think about that, Professor Mikotoba?
I'm not sure that you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense.
I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer.
Yeah?
I don't know, young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it.
Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing.
Oh dear. That recoiled on me rather badly.
That's life, I'm afraid, a lesson everyone must learn.
Hopefully you can see now that this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Membami-san would certainly have been aware of it.
Hold it!
But the defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground, bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this. The woman is a medical research assistant. Can't imagine she would have behaved so irrationally. Oh, but irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it?
Wow, Susato, really getting in the spirit of it!
Right? Those women and their emotions. What are we to do with them? I don't know. Women, eh? Can't talk with them, can't find them sometimes. What with their words? Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. This small-minded man could have such bigoted views. Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much? Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? That should cover the medical side of the argument, as a non-medical professional.
Ouchism. Yeah, right? I was gonna say, let's go to Ouchie for comment after that line.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Small-minded man.
As he's sweating.
Hold it!
Whatever the motive, it just isn't in Mbami-san's nature to do something so awful. But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against. But you don't know the defendants!
Objection!
And you, counsel, do not appear to know the law.
Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings.
This fledgling to defend her, I would almost say I pity the accused.
So do I.
Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please.
Yes, Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Mbami-san.
Sworn enemy? Don't you have to announce that the person is your enemy for them to be your sworn enemy? Maybe she didn't fucking care about Dr. Wilson. Where's your evidence that she cared other than she worked under him? You know how many people hate their bosses?
Hold it!
Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Mbami-san's talent and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. She all but stated that she would murder her if she had the chance. Oh, I forgot about that. I have announced that Orange Kid is my enemy, yes. I didn't say sworn enemy. But the sworn part is, like, making an announcement to it, isn't it? Swearing upon something silently kind of makes it pointless, doesn't it?
She was extremely grateful to him. Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual.
Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Mbami-san's abilities.
Clearly, the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it.
Besides, at times like this, it's especially important to remember the fundamentals.
The fundamentals?
Evidence is what, yeah, blah, 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 evidence, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sworn enemy. Sworn enemy now. You do that, Maxim. And I will endeavor to destroy that channel. Oh, now I can look at this. Okay. We take off the pen's lid.
Let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink.
She filled by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib.
Is something wrong, Father?
Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all.
Oh yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. The RM initials are very clearly engraved here.
The fact that Miss Brett was clinging to this pen on her dying moments is very clearly a message, too.
Is it? Other than she had it in her hand? To identify her killer, you mean?
I don't think there could be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in the case.
There's some sort of emblem here, look. But it isn't the Yume University one.
Must belong to some other organization, I suppose. A business of some kind. That would seem to imply that the pen doesn't, in fact, belong to Ray. The poison's been stolen?
This morning's paper that Saseki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know?
As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, laboratory. The laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the reporter have gleaned this information?
Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there?
The highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest confidence. I'd put Ray in charge of the project.
Ray? She was managing it?
If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow.
I don't believe it.
You need to read this article very carefully. We need to read it very carefully, and by that, I mean we need to not talk about it anymore.
Raucous England returnees tell all. This is the interview with you and Soseki-san, is it, Father? Looks as though it was quite an exchange.
Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate chopped me on the neck.
You hope you weren't hurt.
Ah, don't worry, Sudi. Your dad's neck is made of solid granite.
Can I get some high def pictures, please? That would be great.
So she was poisoned. We examine the... I guess we can't... They're not probably not gonna let me... No, okay. Okay.
Objection!
Okay. I had a thought. That thought was wrong.
Objection!
No, there is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound.
What?
Ha! The yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but is also a poor loser. Got him. Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified?
Yes, I am very allergic to dogs. Not as much. I am allergic to my dog, but not as much as a like short-haired fur dog that shed a lot. Those are the worst for people that have dog allergies. But she doesn't shed like at all, which keeps it manageable. I take 1 or 2 24-hour Allegra's, just depends on how bad it is that day. Singular and Nasacort. I gotta take 3 allergy medications a day to make it so that I'm not like because what's really interesting is that what happens, my lungs fill up with like, it's almost like a heavy itching sensation. It gets really like, breathing becomes more difficult. I'm assuming that's, you know, the inflammation or whatever. I have a dog because my wife, it was basically a prerequisite to marrying my wife. If I wasn't with my wife, I would probably not have a dog. Now, not that I regret it or anything. Now I'm probably a dog person for life, but I don't think I ever would have become a dog person had it not been for her.
An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial
Objection!
Motherfucker, can I finish my goddamn sentence?
The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case.
But
Prosecutor Ouchie, you will let the defense speak.
But a newspaper article, the court cannot rely on the kind of hearsay those wretched publications carry.
Counsel for the defense. I'm going to need some tangible basis for your claim. You will indicate to the court precisely which part of the newspaper article mentioned affirms your assertion.
Your Excellency.
yes, of course. Thank you. They would never have done something to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says, Which part is it? It says something about the eye dilation. That's this one. Why is the poison being developed?
According to the article, the development of the poison was requested by the military.
Yes, a troubling revelation indeed.
Oh, it's very worrying.
And yet even more worrying, those yokels trying to manipulate the court nothing more than rumors.
Ah. No, that's not what I'm trying. Oh my god. Game, are you fucking kidding me?
I feel sure Ray had a good reason for her actions.
I guess it's because the deadly poison. Do I have to point out that the deadly poison is in fact deadly? Oh, I read the article. I just think you're all full of shit.
The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes.
Are you suggesting?
The knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison. It would explain why the defendant, Mbami-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body.
What?
Objection!
Unsure.
This is complete and utter nonsense.
Not at all. And what a conclusory statement backed up by no evidence whatsoever. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility.
Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document.
Oh, well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking hold.
Objection!
No, that's not it. If she's read the article and we've read the article, she should already know this answer. We shouldn't have to go through this extra dialogue. It's fucking stupid. Doesn't make sense.
Oh, please, this is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is all reliable anyway.
In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claimed she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense.
Exactly. Well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it, yokel?
I did, Ray, suspect the stolen poison was involved.
If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds.
What?
You can't possibly. From your expression, counsel, it appears those are not empty words.
Let's hope not.
Naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that your words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. The court demands evidence.
Yes, Your Excellency.
I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times from my place at his side in the Old Bailey.
In that case, counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article?
Take that!
I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which it reads, extreme meiosis pupil constriction was observed in the victim.
Ah!
Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please do tell me. Presumably, the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report
Means that it's an unusual symptom of death?
Ugh, well, I'm not an expert.
Under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes.
What are you doing, you yokel detective?
In the newspaper article, there's the following information about stolen poison. The stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death.
What?
If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely.
Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without doubt. That's my testimony. That you can't cross-examine.
Prosecutor Ouchie, I think you'll agree this is very compelling evidence.
You! Yokel student, yokel professor!
I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions.
No.
Eugene Mikotoba. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel's argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please. It pains me to have to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know? The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft. Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded? No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say.
Ha, listen to the bubbling academic. Unaware of the theft of secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in the newspaper.
I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision.
Father,
A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students rather than allowing them off on killing sprees.
that's totally unfounded. None of this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault.
Ray. Minbami-san, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated. Although I'm too taken aback to punish you.
Oh, he definitely is a, an adjunct professor for Why the Patriarchy Exists 101.
Because women are bad. They think on emotion and nothing else. They're not even allowed in our courtrooms without our permission.
What an arse.
But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew! I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some sort of poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was.
Some of the poison. Evil truck. Wow, she ran from one end of the house to the other very quickly. Holy shit. I didn't even see her. Just a blur.
That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was.
Why didn't you let me know immediately?
I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was that dainty English woman. Miss Giselle Brett. That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison! Well now. Whatever do you mean? And then, she suddenly got to her feet before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints.
I don't believe it.
That great reading, Twain. I'm sure that he sounds stunned to everyone. I was wondering why I couldn't remember her voice. Like, oh yeah, Maxim did it. That's why.
Oh dear my!
In other words, you realize that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips whilst I'd been with her, which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back.
That train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade.
Yes. If the amount that had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time.
God, your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which your confession... I swear to God, I can talk. Just give me a second. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you confessed in the end.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now.
Objection!
Your Excellency, do not be deceived by this whammon. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, but Bobby-san, if that's the case, perhaps you can explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed.
Well,
You have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim, motivated by revenge.
But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you?
Oh, I have evidence, and it is very much conclusive.
Then why in the flying fuck would you not have produced it already? Instead of being no, I have conclusive evidence, but I'm gonna wait until I'm backed into court. If I were a judge, I would be furious. Furious. Furio Tigre with Ouchie here. Just grabbed him by the neck, squeezed until I heard his little bones break under my crushing force. Probably not that far, but maybe in my mind.
What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You will produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Ouchie. You are Professor too, though, of Whammon Suck 101.
I'm guessing it's the knife, because why wouldn't he have shown it before?
Perhaps some praise is due, young yokel students.
What?
I'd imagine there would be no need for me to submit this evidence.
Oh, he still doesn't have the murder weapon that they collected. And somehow, but he's not showing it? I'd demand that evidence be produced.
But you brought this on yourself.
I mean, that could be her pulling the knife out. What? What the? Could a more damning shot exist? Yes. One where she does not yet have a blood stain. And in fact, she is lunging at her would be a more damning shot. Or like, the knife is just starting to enter, but there's not enough blood yet for there to be a full-on, like... The cruelty in the air on that beach is almost palpable.
This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. It shows the precise moment that Mimbabi-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back.
No, that's not true! No! I don't believe it. Ah!
Order, order, order! Counsel for the defense. Was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom?
Perhaps his voice has yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature.
I'll show you who's slow to mature.
Careful now. Susato is starting to show her face here. It's often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. And here we have ample proof.
Was that really a saying back then?
The court will accept this extremely
Cogent photographic print as evidence. Can't believe he's had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time. Such a stock image, I'm genuinely lost for words. Wait a minute, I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? The murderer, obviously. Right.
Objection!
What? This judge is going to lose points if he doesn't immediately strike this statement down as absolutely fucking stupid. It's of no importance except that they're a material witness. Oh.
Objection!
That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photograph print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony.
I will uphold the defense's demand.
Okay. We're safe. You just let the defense do the talking. I understand.
The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once.
Well, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Pardon?
You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. There was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown.
Goodness.
Are we to understand then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, that you nevertheless believed it fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court?
When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment, because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you?
Silence, you yokel student and blabbering professor. What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses.
But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but
the moment it was withdrawn? Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. The scene it captures is without a doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court.
no, it is fucking not. Stop being stupid. You're allowing that idiot to cloud your head. Your once strong, impressive head.
If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
Oh no!
Susato, this is the time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim.
Yes, we just need to prove that somehow.
You have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces, and to rue the day you came up against Takatsuchi Ouchi in a court of law.
I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial's going to come to an end. Must be a clue somewhere. Must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, counsel?
Your Excellency? The burning question is who took that photograph, and the truth is... Oh, let's see. It's hard to, like, what the fuck is this? This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal.
What? No, you can't possibly. But as you so boldly claim that you can, please do enlighten us.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name.
Utterly underwhelming. Do you really believe you could?
However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals the important details about the photographer's identity.
What?
Very well then, counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence you claim reveals something about the identity of this mysterious photographer?
Now, I have a couple guesses here. One is that emblem on the pen. Two would be you're pointing out that it was the murderer based on where they took it, because they took it from like back here, and that's where she was stabbed in the back, and then where she fell forward.
and then where what's-her-face came around here and pulled the knife out. I'll go with my gut, my first impression.
Take that!
My gut is wrong. Mm. Hold on. Hold on a minute. Oh, shit! It's the same person that took the photograph. I was like, this looks familiar, but is this like bamboo or something? Wow, why would they publish that? Do I do this or this?
Take that!
What is that? The newspaper again? Raucous England returnees tell all.
It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency, it's the photograph. You look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Like, I get why you wouldn't notice this on the picture, because like the other picture, because like I said, it looks like it could just be something hanging from outside. But why would it be here? This seems very out of place. Much more out of place than the other one. Then again, you might not think to have reason to look at the newspaper article again for this particular issue, right?
If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Ah, yes, indeed. They had already caught my eye as it happens. Why the fuck would this newspaper produce such a shitty photo?
Ah, what of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably, from the branches of a tree or the like?
There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you.
Now, if you look closely at this photograph, guarantee you every time you do it'll make you laugh.
Good gracious!
Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph too.
Well, that tells us nothing. Ha ha ha! Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely, from the branches of a tree.
That made the exact same imprint on the picture? The exact same?
There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach, Council.
Ugh. What's quite remarkable about it is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired?
The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of... Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs.
With the photographic device? Yes, we can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched, and that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device.
In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera.
Ugh. But there must be hundreds of such cameras devices here in the capital.
With the exact fucking same defect pattern.
It'd be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
Oh, I see. But no, he works for the fucking paper. He submitted it. Don't they normally give credit to the person that submitted the paper? Submitted the print to the paper? Or it looks like he was actually hired by the paper to do it, so they would know. Anyways.
I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Ouchie, that one of the photographs featured in a newspaper article.
A newspaper? Ah!
That's right. The author of that article is the
the mystery witness to this crime. Do the authors really take the pictures too? Man, I bet they only get paid for one job though. I see why you were called a raucous England returnee.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
It's memo. I tell you, memo. Memo. So Seki-san, what was that? Did you say many meno? Many meno? Whoa, that word. Many memo? Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Raiten Many Memo. Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk. Ah, now that he mentions it. Most of the time, isn't it authors that don't... They either can't afford to do it themselves or to hire somebody else to do it, because a newspaper normally has a separate... Newspapers generally have a separate photographer. At least newspapers of this scale. Of course, if we're talking about like your local school newspaper, that's probably not the case, right? Oh, I hope this is a reference. A camera to the left of him. A notebook to the right. Oh. Volley and thunder! Forget what that's from. Cannon to the left of them. Cannon to the right of them. All right, I'm stuck in the middle with right and memo.
So you're saying that this picture was taken by
many memo, yes, my lord, your excellency, Esquire.
Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. Get her done. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime.
Oh, yes, your excellency.
as you say, your excellency.
And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. And submitted into evidence, goddammit! You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood?
Many Mamo!
I like this trial so far. It's very neat. I'm not sure it tops 4-1, but it's better than the first one. Than GAA 1-1 so far. We'll see. We'll see. It could end with a whimper. Could fuck it up. A lot of it is Susato's awesome as a defense attorney.
Wow, this is a lot longer than I thought it was. Charge of the Light Brigade. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600! How beautiful. Lee Morbid. Yes, I would say one of the better parts of Great Ace Attorney 1 is I think Kazuma is arguably like your best like partner just in general, not even just as a tutorial guy, but he's sick. And that's like the best part of it. So there's like something good. Like in 2-1, the only thing that's good for me is Maggie's just a precious client. God, I am hot. I must be dehydrated. My back's feeling warm. That's what happens when I am dehydrated. She is a precious cinnamon bun. But that's like the only thing 2-1 has going for it. That's just a fucking ridiculous case otherwise, right? I guess Wellington's it was Wellington, right? His his presentation was mildly amusing, but like the whole scene and all. Oh, okay, we're not gonna get into 2-1. That's whew. No, I'm not done yet. I am gonna end earlier than usual. At least not earlier than usual, but I am gonna end in about a half hour because it's can I tell you guys something in the strictest of confidence? I'll make it up to you in return for you keeping my secret. We'll stream an extra hour next week. It is my wife's birthday, officially her birthday today. And I have not procured her present as of yet. I know what I'm getting her. I'm going to do it after stream. But obviously I need some time to get everything together before she gets home from work. So don't ever procrastinate on that. So that is why we are not going the full 4 hours today. No! Don't tell her! She's gonna know! Alright, let's go. Thanks, Tal. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray.
You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone.
No, that's not it at all! I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence? That you'd stand by me to the last? I remember. Yes. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor! No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. Spank me, Susato! I'm no better, you know. She has a little bit of a masochistic streak, I think. Oh. Even though in my heart I knew that you'd pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato! I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no.
I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. You're both awful. Get out of my sight. I'm embarrassed for the both of you. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task.
Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray, yes? You find it in your heart to forgive me. Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. Ray's fun. I was so scared, you know. When it happened, I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison! Well now, whatever do you mean? That was my best maxim. And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing onto the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time. That's right, just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could possibly have been stabbed like that.
A great mystery indeed.
Still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be alright. However it happened and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you've said you saw is true.
Spoken like a true Mikotopa. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order.
Yes, I expect the poison is going to come up under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing it. Or it. Oh, I see.
Yes, without this chemical
Reagent, that word always trips me up.
Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin.
Chemical reagent?
I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to the police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case they prove to be incompetent. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet.
It's this newspaper article. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. Wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret.
Maybe it's the person that stole it that wrote the information.
I thought it was too.
which is part of the problem, is I still want to pronounce it like how I'd pronounced it before. I think it was during an early AA stream. Was when somebody pointed out it's free agent. And I'm like, oh! Okay.
Wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the English woman's doing.
I don't think so.
What? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swanned in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on the substance there."
Where? In Discord? The fool. He has no power there. There are 6 of us and 1 of him. I welcome his dissension.
It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction.
The YouTube chat? I haven't seen him in YouTube chat. Is he still here? Oh, I saw him give the frowny face. But that was it.
So then, Soseki-san knew about the poison.
Yes, and it's highly likely the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too.
This many Memo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you at all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there.
Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there.
Oh?
A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Soseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office.
That he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then, presumably, he posted it anonymously to the police. Ah!
Yes, that must be what happened.
Counsel, we've just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed into the courtroom at once. At once.
It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney, Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Yes! Grace put her faith in me now and told me everything. But I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day.
I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Membani. Prosecutor Auchi, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh?
What news? And why does he look so happy about it?
During the recess with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yubei University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the reagent delivered to police headquarters by rickshaw, so that would be there in good time.
Judging by the man's
Swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable.
And counsel, what were the results?
This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, had no trace of poison anywhere along its blade.
What?
Because it's in the pen. I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
Or just because they didn't do it.
Armed with the reagent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake.
In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed.
Ah!
Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
To the newspaper reporter who managed to...
It was a little more. It wasn't very Texan of me. The newspaper reporter managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Hell yeah. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness.
No trace of poison on the knife. That's really the case. How could the toxin have entered the victim's body? Oh, it was the guy that was taking Wasn't he there earlier? It's the same fucking guy!
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
That's where we end it, so I can think about what voice to give this guy. What? Nope. Fuck off. No. Now I have to go back to that point next stream. Fuck you, game. Alright, we'll be back next Monday. And I'll go a bit longer since I stopped about a half hour earlier today, and in return for keeping my secret. Remember, zip the lip, throw out the key. I'd greatly appreciate it. Final Fantasy 2 tomorrow, and then we have our members stream on Friday. Then we come back to this Monday. By the end of this month, we'll go back to doing it twice a week. But these next 2 weeks coming up are kind of wonky, so that's why.
Thanks, dog.
All right, everyone. You have a good one. I appreciate you hanging out with me. And until next time, stream is adjourned.
Attention is the waistband